An unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with, even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having it to see and listen to remember and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words. The Jataka tales. I've wanted to do these for a long time. I kept thinking, is it the right time? Is it the right time? Right now, for some reason, feels like the right time. Stories. Human beings need stories. The stories we tell each other in our heads. We need stories to encourage us and inspire us. And that's what the Jataka tales are. They're ancient stories. They're probably pre-Buddhist stories. I'm going to do, I did an introduction, a little overview on Tuesday, and I'll repeat some of that now so that we're all kind of have the same base and ground under us. And then I want to tell you the first Jataka tale that I want to share with you. There's going to be, I want to do this one because I found an article that has some of the artwork around this particular Jataka tale. They're on temple walls, they're in caves, they're I love the imagination and creativity of the Jataka tales, and I really hope and encourage you to write your own, or to do drawings or poetry, or let's let these permeate through into our everyday life and inspire us in this time when we all need inspiration and remembering what's true. So the Jataka tales are birth stories of a bodhisattva waking up to be a Buddha, which is who and what we are. So they're birth and death stories of a bodhisattva becoming a Buddha. So now, whether we believe in rebirth metaphorically or literally, there are lots of battles going on to this day about, is this true? Is this not true? We're not going to worry about that. We are born and die in each moment. I've lived lifetimes within this lifetime. I don't know about you, and I expect there's a few more. But what's beautiful is that each story, and the story of the Jatakas include human stories of the Buddha, Buddha becoming the Buddha as a bodhisattva, as a human, as an animal, as a spirit, and I particularly, as I said on Tuesday, love the animal stories. I'm going to bring forward one of those today. Let us remember our brethren in multiple forms, teaching us and waking each other up. So there's a birth. There's a experience of waking up, usually through some hardship or difficulty, a realization and insight, and then a death, a dissolving, and then a birth, and then a death. So there's a self and a no self, and there's impermanence, and the teaching, the heart of it is non-harming. It's the stories of the arhats that were born and carried the intention to wake up for themselves. These stories are about waking up to that we are so deeply and intimately interconnected that, of course, what would we be here doing? Anything other than trying to help everyone, including ourselves, be safe and happy and well. So they're written in Pali, which is the language of the Theravadan Buddhist canon. And in fact, they're part of the traditional Pali, which is often very, very serious, the Tripitaka. So it's nice that these are woven in. They comprise one of the largest and earliest collections of stories in the world. From the 5th century BC up to the 3rd century, they were oral. All of early Buddhism was transmitted orally. There's 547 of them. They all evolve out of one vow, Dipankara. I told the story on Tuesday, so I'm not going to tell it again. There's a, I think I was going to read it, but I think there's a beautiful story of the vow that Dipankara takes. And it's based in not the 6 paramitas, but the 10. The Theravadan tradition has 10. I think I'm going to try to figure out a way to put it in the newsletter so that you can read his vows, but I'm going to read you the very end of it, which I think is beautiful. So few are all the things in this world that brings about awakening to maturation, that bring about Buddhahood, and that have to be fulfilled by bodhisattvas. Beyond the 10 perfections, there are no others. And these 10 perfections are not in the sky above. They are not in the earth below, nor are they in the directions that start with the east. They are established right in the depths of my heart. So the establishment of the first perfection of generosity, the second perfection of precepts or virtue or morality, the third perfection of renunciation. I really do want to read you all of these. Maybe we'll do this another time because I want to tell you the story about the Monkey King today. The fourth perfection of wisdom, the fifth perfection of heroic effort. You can tell these are a little different than the ones we've studied. Same, but filled out a little more. The sixth perfection of forbearance. The seventh perfection of truth. The eighth perfection of resolve. That's what we're going to talk about today through the Monkey King. The ninth perfection of loving kindness. Loving kindness is included and brought forward in a particular way. And the 10th, the loving, let's see. Oh, equanimity is the 10th. So over time, the Jatakas were arranged into stories that brought forward teachings about these 10 perfections. And then over time, the way they were organized more and more is that the last 10 Jataka tales, so it would be from 530, the number 537 to 547 Jataka tales are specifically about, it's like, oh, the Buddha, he's waking up. And they're specifically about how the Buddha woke up through these 10 perfections. They're associated with the Indian traditions of folktale and epic and drama. I've seen them because I've traveled in Southeast Asia. They're painted on temples that people and children go in and out of and are born into and then die. So it's really an intimate and deep part of lay life and lay teaching in Theravadan countries, in Myanmar and Thailand and Sri Lanka and Vietnam and Cambodia and Afghanistan. I said on Tuesday that it makes me happy to know, just want to, like, we're doing this in solidarity with the people in Myanmar, that the horrible suffering that's going on there now is they have these stories in their bones. And I trust that this is what sustains people in horrible hardship. They're on the cave walls. I've seen them on the cave walls in Ajanta in India in the 1st and 2nd century. The Chinese pilgrim Fa Yang saw them in Gandhara, and they're in caves in Sri Lanka. I've seen them there too, and in Kandy around Sri Lanka. Sometimes they're short, sometimes they're long. They're also in Sanskrit and the Chinese and Tibetan traditions. So the Buddhist ground of we as Americans are such babies. This is cultivating the deep ground out of which this tradition comes. They're in the Blue Cliff Records. Dogen refers to them. They're in the legal system in Laos. They're brought forward as precedents in courts of law. They're in the Dongshuan caves on the Silk Road. Alexander the Great carried them back from his travels from the east to west. They're in 8th century Persian stories, and landing us right here, Sharon Shaw in her commentary says that they really are in the ground of Chaucer and Shakespeare and Kipling and Greek tragedies. I think these kinds of mythic stories are in our bones, human bones, the kind of stories people told around fires from long ago, trying to make sense and meaning out of this life. We're going to use the commentaries. I'm going to use the commentaries by Rafe Martin, who is in Kaplo's lineage. Erica Wilde practiced with him at the Rochester Zen Center in the early days, and she's going to ask if maybe he'd come and tell us a story, which would be fun. I so appreciate that he's brought these forward. One of the things I love about them is they're told from the point of view of the Buddha, who's now awakened, looking back with reflection on his lifetimes, in the way that maybe we in our wisdom look back on our lives, maybe, and have an insight of, oh, this thread of awakening. Oh, that's what I learned there. Oh, that was the meaning of that I can see now that I couldn't see before. But within the stories, the Buddha, as the Bodhisattva waking up, is he's completely immersed in the story. He doesn't have some feeling of he's completely immersed in greed, hate, and delusion, and waking up and being acted upon by it, just like us. So this Buddha overview is, of course, we have moments of it, but mostly we're just living our life trying to figure out what to do next, and making mistakes and falling down and getting up, and that's what these stories teach. Is this is our human life, and it's not just human life. It's happening with crows and monkeys and blue bears and robbers and everybody, everything. So we're all completely in it together. And our actions, thoughts, and deeds do matter. That there is cause and effect. There is karma, not as karma is something bad, but as action. We are creating ourselves and the world in each moment. I thought I'd just read you from Sharon Shaw's commentary. She says, early Buddhists perceived the universe in their own image. Gods, men, women, and animals speak with human voice in the stories and act with motives explained in human terms. The characters in Jatakas inhabit an intricately meshed network of almost familial relationships. They are constantly interacting with each other, discussing their problems and giving advice on how to live. So maybe if you listen deeply to the red-winged blackbird out there, you're having a way more intimate conversation than you think. And maybe they are telling you their problems or giving us advice. That's kind of what happens in these stories. Each has a solitary destiny of endless cycles of birth and death, but by sharing this, they form patterns within a community, repeatedly meeting and finding earlier companions as they take rebirth in different places and various kinds of forms. Links between characters extend far back into the past. Events tend to occur as old habits are repeated in later lifetimes. Underneath it all is the assumption of the Jatakas that each being lives as an independent locus of consciousness, capable of choice and of finding enlightenment for ourselves, in the belief that we are all waking up and that that is our birthright. This was an unusual and even revolutionary idea at the time. After reading a few Jatakas, you'll see the universe seems very large, full of birds, cats, fish, and deer, unseen presences, and humans of all kinds of conditions, each with their own consciousness and destiny to fulfill. The great compassion of the Buddha in the stories is that he does not teach as an outsider separated from this living network. By describing himself in the past as Bodhisattva, he demonstrates his own participation in these conditions and gives hundreds of instances of how to be free within them. At the end of each story, he brings this understanding to the present and reveals his own identity. It is like walking into a Buddhist temple, past the stories of Jataka shown on the walls. Different selves lead in the end to a human form, the embodiment of stillness in the presence of many. This is the heart of each story too. The place of the Buddha, the knower of all worlds, freed at last from any grasping after false ego or I-making at all. I heard Zenju Earthling Manuel give a talk last night, and one thing she said that was really beautiful is she said, our hearts are already open. We're already Buddhas, no matter what our state of mind or distress or problem in the world, or that right in the midst of it, our hearts are already open. That's what we're waking up to. And that's what these stories are encouragements for and towards. So you ready for a story? The Monkey King. Long ago, back when Brahmadatta still reigned in Benares, that means a long time ago. It's like once upon a time, the Buddha was born as a monkey. When grown, he stood tall as a colt. He was strong too, gave good advice in disputes, could stand his ground against a leopard, and had a knack for finding both shelter and food. Naturally, the other monkeys chose him as their king. Now, in the territory of this pack of monkeys, a great mango tree grew by the riverside. The curving twists and turns of the branches were excellent for clambering, climbing, resting, and sleeping. The leaves of the tree were thick and glossy, well suited to keeping off the hot sun. But what was best about the tree was its fruit. The mangoes that grew there were sweet, sweeter even than lotus honey. Ooh. One day, the great Monkey King was sitting up in a tree eating a mango. And as he lay against the trunk, peering down through the leaves to the river, he thought, we love it here, and so far we've been safe. But if a fruit falls into the river and floats downstream, it would come to the cities of men. If they taste this fruit, they will want more and will come looking for our tree. And when they find the mango, we will be in danger. I must prevent it. So he called a gathering of the monkeys, and when they had come, young and old, adolescent and full grown, and all sat chattering and grooming in the branches of their tree, he said, "We must be careful. There is danger." "Danger!" they cried. "Where? Is it a leopard, an eagle, a python? Where is it? And what shall we do, great king?" Many of the monkeys jumped to their feet and, clinging to branches with toes, fingers, and tails, peered anxiously around with bared teeth. "Be easy," said the great monkey. "It is none of these. It is a future danger I speak of. Its cause will be our own carelessness, but the danger will come from men." "From men," they exclaimed, "or people, we could say. But no people come here now." "They will," said the Monkey King, "if we bring them." "Bring them?" Then the Monkey King told them about his fear. So he concluded, "We must be ever vigilant, ever alert. Every fruit growing over the water must be plucked before it ripens. And as long as we do this, we should be able to live in peace for a very long time." "We'll do it, great king," shouted all the monkeys. "Count on us." The Monkey King smiled and nodded and thanked his monkey troops and was content. You might be having images in your own mind of how this might apply to present day, your own life or in the world. The
Did Chris freeze for some people?
Yes, for me.
For you too, yeah.
Yes.
I think, so we come
Me
back in,
too.
you think?
Froze for me too.
Oh, do you think we should leave and come back? What should we
No.
do?
Chris, you're muted.
No,
She's not just muted, she's frozen.
I'll
she's
text her.
frozen.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Now we
Now
can,
we can.
yeah, you're back.
Now we see you. Oh,
They,
good.
Zoom did something
couldn't-
weird with me, but I'm glad you're into the story. I'm glad you missed it.
Wait, come back.
Did,
So,
did you get to the place where it dropped into the river?
no.
Oh, no. Okay, so
No,
they all
just-
decided they're all going to keep their kingdom and their mangoes safe because they're all so happy.
Yep.
And then one day, a tiny fruit growing unseen among the leaves swelled and ripened. And one night, the fruit fell with a faint splash into the river. And bobbing in the starlight, it vanished downstream. That night, the Monkey King turned in his sleep, disturbed by ominous dreams. He dreamed of a skull and a spear and of fire, and he dreamed of cities and houses of stones. He dreamed of people. He awoke in the deep night, wide-eyed and alert to danger. The river lapped against the shore. The leaves of the treasure tree fluttered in the breeze. All was quiet and still. He sniffed the air and then peered up into the sky where the countless stars shone bright and clear. The world went on in its glory, and the great Monkey King, satisfied that all was well, drifted back to sleep. The mango fruit floated on and on. Birds and fish, snakes and otters failed to capture it. At last it came to rest on the grassy shore of a park-like garden far downstream, and the garden belonged to a king. The king lay on a cushioned couch. Women danced, musicians played. Some of the palace women We have to remember this is ancient India, these things come out of. Some of the palace women were tossing a ball which rolled to the river's edge, and one of the women bent to the water to retrieve her plaything and found the mango. She lifted it and smelled it, and it was sweet, so sweet. "What is that?" called the king. "Bring it here." And the king sniffed, and the sweetness took his breath away. "What is it?" he asked. "I believe it is called a mango, sire," said the minister. And the king took out a silver knife and sliced it open, and the sweetness enfolded him like a song, an embrace, and he took a tiny bite. Such a flavor flooded his mouth, it was very good. He took another bite and he ate the whole fruit. "Get my boat," he ordered. "This magical fruit has obviously floated downstream. Let's head upstream and find the tree it came from." The men rowed against the current. It was hard work, back-breaking labor. The boat was heavy and filled with the king's retinue of couriers, advisors. He was told stories to amuse him. Tales of mighty kings and beautiful queens, tales of heroes who conquered impregnable cities, of war horses and elephants and great battles, of gleaming armor and magical swords, of wise people who threw through the air and serpents who live under the seas. They told of the spirits of the forests, of talking animals, of skywalkers from realms beyond our own, who can make clouds bright and travel through the night in aerial cars of silver and gold. Oh my goodness. "Yes, yes," fretted the king, "all well and good. But when will we find the tree? It's been hours and so far nothing." And then the king smelled a sweet smell that filled him with joyous delight. He rose from his cushions and sniffed. He peered ahead and saw the tree, the beautiful, tall, thick-foliaged fruit tree. There, hanging from the branches like so many great golden lanterns, was the fruit he so craved. And there too in the tree, on the tree, swinging and scampering and eating from the tree, he saw monkeys, hundreds and hundreds of them. "Rowers, row," he ordered. "Faster! Archers, ready your bow. Those monkeys are eating my fruit, royal fruit. We'll shoot them and we'll roast their flesh. All feast today on monkeys and mangoes." The Monkey King leapt to his feet. He heard the voice of the king and heard the splash of the oars. He saw the boat. He knew the danger. His nightmare had come true. The monkeys froze. They too saw the drawn bows. They knew it might mean death. They stopped eating, chattering, swinging, and leaping. They huddled among the branches and leaves, the fruit falling from their paws, dropping from their mouths, all flavor gone. Mother monkeys grabbed babies. Father monkeys held their families close. The Monkey King's heart was filled with anguish. What I dreaded has happened, and now I must act. He saw a far-off tree, beyond an arrow's flight away. He measured a long vine with his eye and then wrapped one end of it around his body, tying it tight. He gathered his strength and leapt mightily, soaring from the treasure tree to the distant one far from the river. But in measuring the vine, he had forgotten to include his own great size. And so instead of reaching the trunk and being able to remove the vine and tie it there, he held only the tips of the tree's outer branches in his hands. "Quick," he called, "all of you, run over the vine, run across my body and be safe. I'll hold on as long as I can, but be quick. I don't know how long my grip will last." And the monkeys began, scampering, swinging, and running across the vine from the treasure tree, across their king's body up into the safety of the tree he clung to. Hundreds of monkeys ran swiftly, lightly, apologizing to their king for running over him. Almost all were safe. Only one monkey remained. He was big and strong and almost as big as the Monkey King. And he carried a grudge. He had wanted the kingship. When the monkeys chose another, his heart had grown dark, and now he saw a chance to pay back his rival. He leapt along the vine, leapt onto the back of the great Monkey King, and stamped down hard before jumping to safety. The Monkey King groaned in pain. His back was broken, but still he held tight. The human king saw it all. Down, bows, put them down, he called. Beach the boat, save that noble monkey, he ordered. And the king's people rowed the boat ashore. The king and his men leapt to the bank and ran to where the Monkey King was about to fall. And spreading a net, they caught him just in time and then lowered him to the ground. The monkey sat huddled, mourning in the tree. One big monkey sat far apart alone. No monkey would come near him. Why did you risk your life for the others? Asked the king. Why did you make a bridge of your body so others could escape? You are big and strong, the greatest of all these beasts, clearly the leader, which means you are the most important. They should have taken better care of you, done all they could, even risked their lives to save you. Yes, I am their leader, gasped the Monkey King, which means I care about them and their welfare more than I care about my own life. I resolve to save them, no matter what. This is the duty and the joy of kings. The human king was stunned. Something awoke in his heart. Everything that had been upside down turned right side up like the hull of a boat coming upright again after being swamped in deep water. I shall never forget your teaching, he said quietly. I swear it. You have changed my life. I came for fruit, but received wisdom. Surely this meeting was not by chance. Henceforth, I shall rule as a new person. I will be a better king. I will care for my people and not make them serve me. Many lives will benefit from this gift you have given. You will not be forgotten. Not ever. The great monkey listened, nodded, closed his eyes, and peacefully died. When the king returned back to his palace, he took the skull of the Monkey King with him. He covered the skull with silver and etched it with gold, and then he mounted the skull on a mighty spear and kept a fire lit before it. Every year he held a ceremony honoring the memory of the great monkey, and all the people gathered and renewed their gratitude to the Monkey King and his wisdom, which had changed their own king's heart. And the monkeys lived on in their tree unharmed for generations. But they would not give kingship to the murderer. They drove him out and he died alone and forgotten, his body dissolving into the rich, dark earth, giving back life for the life that he had taken. So being a bridge. I mean, there's many different pieces we could take up in this story. But often it's a picture of the monkey's body extended as a bridge so that others can walk across it, which is really a bodhisattva's life. As we, in our confusion and need and want, and as we offer ourselves, our Buddha self, to ourselves and to others as a bridge. And it often happens in really big and small acts of kindness. Be nice to share stories from our own lives or lives of others who have been bridges for us. How about